Hi there, Claire. So feels a bit disingenuous asking you these questions because I am part of the body that helped to drive this inquiry. So why now? Why is this important?
Well, I think, like you say, it is very important for us to be looking at these issues at the moment, particularly because of the advocacy of the group that you're a part of, Australians Against Wrongful Overseas Detention, the alliance that you and Kylie Moore-Gilbert and Sean Turnell are heading up. And I think it's really important that we examine these issues now. We know that there are many bad faith actors on the global stage that engage in hostage diplomacy, and that is a completely abhorrent practice. And so what we want to get an idea of through this inquiry is what frameworks does the Australian government have in place to deter this practice from happening, and how can those frameworks be improved to make sure that Australians such as yourself aren't wrongfully detained overseas.
Now, Claire, in getting to this step of having an inquiry, what have you discovered about wrongful detention?
Well, we heard a lot about this issue through the Senate's inquiry into Iran last year, particularly in terms of the case of Kylie Moore-Gilbert. And we know that Iran is a regime that engages in hostage diplomacy. So we want to make sure that the Australian government has the right tools in place to be able to shine a light on this practice of hostage diplomacy where it is occurring. And like I say, Iran is one example where we are seeing that happen, but we know of many other cases around the world where this happens. Russia certainly is one that has engaged in hostage diplomacy previously with the case of Evan Gershkovich, which we know the United Nations has recently had much to say on this case, and that it should be dealt with as a case of hostage diplomacy. So, yeah, just making sure that what the government has in place in terms of frameworks can shine a light on this practice, because we know that the more that this practice occurs in the darkness, the more power it gives to these regimes.
For sure. Now, this week you met with Sebastian Lai, who is the son of Jimmy Lai, the Hong Kong publisher and activist who has been behind bars for 3.5 years already on national security charges. What are your thoughts on the weaponization of legislation by these regimes?
Oh, look, meeting with Sebastian this week was a really humbling experience, and obviously his dad has been completely abused, I think, by the national security laws in Hong Kong, and I think that many Australians would like to see a better outcome there. So it was a real pleasure to meet with him and his lawyers and his family. And the really important thing I heard out of that meeting was that the Hong Kong diaspora here in Australia want to see people, parliamentarians such as myself, talking about these national security laws more openly and calling it out for what it is, particularly in Jimmy's case, which is silencing the fourth estate in terms of the media, but also silencing dissent.
Speaking of silencing dissent and also protecting whistleblowers, recently we saw the release of Julian Assange. What sort of protection for whistleblowers and citizen journalism would you like to see?
Well, look, I don't want to foreshadow too much of what is going to be heard through the wrongful detention inquiry, but certainly it was honestly purely coincidental that the day that the inquiry was passed through the Senate was the day that Julian Assange ended up being returned to Australia. But look, we will welcome submissions from any and all quarters, and I suspect some of these issues will get raised through the course of the inquiry. I don't want to foreshadow what the recommendations will be in any sense. That will be up to the committee that I chair to do. But yeah, it will be very interesting to hear this testimony.
Now, the big political story, of course, of the past week or so has been about Senator Fatima Payman. Your thoughts on the rise of faith-based political movements?
Look, I'm a little concerned by the rise of the potential Muslim Voices movement or Muslim Teal movement, whatever it is that we're calling it. I would certainly be interested to see exactly what this movement is going to look like and exactly how faith-based it is or how based in ethnicity it is. It's not something that we have seen in Australia before, and I'm also someone that thinks that our political system is served quite well by having good separation of church and state. So I'll be looking very closely, as I'm sure my colleagues will be, at what this Muslim Voices movement ends up looking like and what the tenets of their organisation end up being in terms of what they're advocating for. But yeah, it will be very interesting to see, and like I say, myself and colleagues will be looking very closely, but it's concerning, at least at the outset, to hear these reports.
Now, Claire, one thing that's really surprised me since release is finding out how polarised the media landscape is in Australia, and also how much, I guess, attacking there is between the two majors. Your thoughts on that?
Oh, look, I think that the media landscape in this country is an interesting dynamic. I mean, first and foremost, we should be very grateful that we have the Fourth Estate and that we can engage in public debate in this way. But certainly since I've been elected as a senator, I just clocked on 5 years as a senator this week, and the media has changed significantly in that time. So, yeah, I think that we should be thankful for it because it plays a really important part in our robust democracy.
Yes, I just hope people aren't as judgmental as they are sometimes.
Indeed, indeed.
Thank you so much for your time. And that was Claire Chandler.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.